being said, we are here. It's another Tuesday in the studios of Kari FM, and we want to welcome those of us who are listening. If you're tuning in on 88.7, we say good evening. If you're tuning in on 93.1 or 107.9, we say it's a pleasure. And if you are tuned in, or if you're following us via the Facebook Live, we want to say it's always a pleasure when you're part of our audience. This evening, we have in studios Mr. Scotty Scotland. Scotty, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Rudy. It's nice to be back in studio. I think we missed about two consecutive programs because of no faults of our own. But I think we're gonna be heading into a lot of activities this week because that weekend past there was a lot of sports globally. Locally we have local sports to look at because you have football, you have some cricket going on, you have internationally now cricket. New Zealand to me was one of the. This test match was a thrilling test match. You had a series going on in NBA playoffs. You know when playoffs is switch what I am on. That's the only thing I love basketball. When you have NBA playoffs, and playoffs is looking like Warriors, Golden State Warriors are on there with their fifth victory in eight years. So let us see what happens in Game 6. We'll be looking at that in more details. And West is also 3-0 by Pakistan. I tell you, the real test will be in Pakistan. And you see what happened to West Indies.
Well, certainly, Scotty, as you said, there are quite a few things happening on the international scene and in sports in general. Scotty, we have, how do I say it? We have England versus New Zealand, as you rightfully said. We will delve into that and break it down and look at the ways of a winning captain. We also have, as you mentioned, the West Indies versus Pakistan, which was a true test of the character of what we're seeing. I mean, if we are being frank and honest, the batsmen that we saw in the Netherlands series, which you may just skim over for a little slight second, you will see the likes of Sharma Brooks and Sharma Brooks, Casey Cathy. These guys, they looked all right, but the true test was the Pakistan series. We will dive into that. As you rightfully said, the NBA finals looking pretty interesting. I think the Boston Celtics they lost that series in Game 4. They had a perfect opportunity to go up 3-1 and they did not allow that to happen. And well, we had the West Indies Domestic Cricket League, Scotty, with the one day internationals, with the T20s being played in the Caribbean. And Scotty, recently Dominica participated in Puerto Rico in a 3x3 competition. We'll be connecting with the president of the Dominica Amateur Basketball Association, that's Mr. Peter Ricketts, and a couple of the young ladies who are out there, and the other players. And maybe to just give an experience of what it was like out there playing in that international arena, and to be ambassadors of the sport, because while the sport in terms of competition is new to the Dominican landscape, Scotty, it really is an international sport already and being played at the Olympics, and it's a nice venture. So we'd be happy to have these ambassadors of the sport as they connect with us and give us a little taste of what it was. But we also saw Denick Luke in Dominica. Denick Luke is the Dominican new national record holder in 800 meters. In the 800 meters, Denick Luke ran some 148 something in Jamaica to win the Jamaican the national meet running for J.C. Foster College. So quite a few things, Scotty, but
and there was another Dominican in the Masters competition.
Was it in the Masters or no? I think Keva Pierre also did well out in it wasn't a Masters competition. Yeah, but out in Barbados, yeah, she did very well running the 800 as well. So we have some future. And I was hoping to connect with the newly elected president of the Dominica Athletics Association, that's Mr. Brandon Williams, and but unfortunately he's occupied. Otherwise, at least he'll be chairing some function this evening during the course of our show, and so he was unable to join us. But Scotty, we also saw the recent conclusion of the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament, and that was pretty interesting. We're hoping that we can at least discuss all these issues, albeit that we started late this evening. But we're going to break here and take some word from our sponsors, And Scotty, we will be right back as we delve into these issues.
We bring it to you from a local, regional, and international perspective.
The Windsor Park is the only park that is usually filled when the West Indies team is playing. If you look at Trinidad, the park is...
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins and bidets, PVC piping, fittings and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
We say welcome back and thank you for staying tuned in with us as we were on the other side of that break. Those of us who are listening on 88.7, 93.1, or 107.9, we say thank you for staying tuned in with us. And those of us who are locked in via the Facebook Live, we say it's always a pleasure. Scotty, we were discussing some of the issues, or we just mentioned some of the issues we'd like to discuss this evening, and quite a few at that. Scotty, what do you want to bowl off with?
I was looking at the West Indies series against Pakistan, and it just happened last week, I think. And Pakistan won 3-0 UD, and it shows that the West Indian ODI team has a lot of work to do for that upcoming series that are coming up. I think it's 2023. The game one. West Indies scored 305. Pakistan replied 306 for 5. Now, Shea Hope scored 127 and Brooks 70. But Imran Ohak 68 and Baba Azam, those guys put on a serious partnership. Baba 103. And Rizwan, which is a guy that scores very quickly and freely. Rizwan scored 59. And that was interesting to see that Pakistan was able to overhaul our 305 for 8. Game 2, West Indies 155, Pakistan 275. West Indies couldn't come to the party. Well, he had Mayers is 33, Brooks is 42, Uhak again scored 72, and Baba Azam 77. And it's interesting to see that West Indian, our bowling actually, Alzari Joseph take 2 for 33, Hussein 3 for 52, and A. Philip, who's a new cap, got 2 for 50.
Yeah, Anderson Philip.
Yeah, so the West Indian West Indies again didn't come to the party. In game 3, West Indies was chasing 269, they all out for 216. So Kati 33. We had Imran Ohak against 62, Shabit Khan, Shadef Khan, 86. Poor run up, all people took 4 for 48.
You know the interesting thing about that, the man, he had only bowled, from my understanding, and I stand corrected, he had only bowled three balls in international cricket prior to that 10 over spell of taking 4 for 48.
So I don't know, Nicholas probably what he mean as a batsman, but he don't seem to be having that I always say this guy haven't got, sometimes you have to have, you are a batsman and have a lot of strokes, but in terms of the brain and when short selection, poor have a problem.
Well, I frankly think, and it is telling that the weight of, he came in as a captain. underperforming, and I think it probably was unfair to maybe make him the captain in that situation. And he now being the captain, when you look at West Indies' performance versus the Netherlands, which was his first stint as captain, he did not perform like the other batsmen performed.
Yeah, he didn't
He didn't perform like the other batsmen
Yeah.
performed. And he's now coming in this test match, in this series, in this ODI series versus Pakistan. And he's not performing either. And it's telling that the weight of the captaincy is weighing down on him a little bit too much. Because when you look at the performances of the other players, say for example in the first match when West Indies was chasing in the first ODI, I think let me get this scores. 300 and West Indies scored 305.
Yeah.
And we had good performances.
Hope Hope and Brooks put on a serious.
We had Shai Hope who scored 100. We had Sherma Brooks who scored nicely.
Yeah,
And then when we look at this, Hussein striking the ball well, when we look at his performance, it does not reflect the other performers in those circumstances. And I am beginning to wonder whether or not the captaincy is something that he can bear. And
personally, I think the captain should have been Shai Hope.
But-
I mentioned that to you.
Yes,
when he was
we discussed that.
when
We
he was-
discussed that
was
before.
Elected as the captain because I don't know what Desmond Hayes is thinking. I personally I put Shai Hope as captain and put him as a vice captain. Let him grow before he can give him that position of captain. And I think he performs better at 2020 than ODIs. So that is why I think something West is, I don't know how the thinking of some of our selectors. What is their thinking? What is their motive in terms of pushing certain people?
But you know, Scotty, I listened to Puran's interview after the final game, and even by what he's saying, you can see he's not yet even ready for the captaincy because he's like looking for the excuse as opposed to being accountable.
Yeah.
And he might have had mentioned accountability in his statement, or he probably would have seen a little bit of accountability. But you would also see the excuse, and when those two coming in, it doesn't bear balance. I think the batsmen need to take on those responsibilities. And while we say that, when you look at the batsmen who batted in the first T20, when West Indies batted first, they batted still in the wicket, and at the end of it all, they could amass a total of 305 runs.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when we look at the two other matches, Pakistan both times batted first, right? And scored, let me put quote unquote, mediocre totals, 269 and 275, as compared to the 305 that West Indies would have scored in the first match.
Yeah.
When you look at how the West Indies batsmen batted, you did not see that responsible approach
Approach to batting.
in the batting in the second matches as compared to the first matches. I felt West Indies, both teams came out with victories in the first match. West Indies went out there, showed that in a T20 match you could score at 6 runs per over. 6 runs per over against the bowling of Pakistan, which for me is very commendable.
Yeah.
You understand? But then our bowling was not all that. So Pakistan came and they scored the runs.
So easily because I find out the West Indian bowling is very, very not penetrating.
But guess what? The West Indies bowling came and showed up in the second ODI. It showed up in the second ODI and it showed up even better in the third ODI.
Yeah, this is bowling
But-
for 269,
right.
275.
Right? But then guess what? Our batting is pretty responsible. I see some of these batsmen. You need 4 runs and over. And you are batting in excess of 4 runs per over. And the kind of loose shots.
Yeah.
You know, I watched, was it Sherma Brooks who came back on the back foot and play on his own wicket, if a defensive shot? You know?
So that I'm saying the West Indies approach to those games are more right now on a high scientific level. It's not like you in 1980s and in 1970s where raw talent just come in and just you just blast bowling and you not studying your opponent, their field placing, their bowling strategy. So I think we kind of way backward in terms of the technological part of the game. I think we're not using that effectively in the West Indies.
But
So that is where one of our major issue. Those guys study us, they look at the weaknesses and they just concentrate on where you're weak and they set their field to that.
I think West Indies does the same. I just don't think we have the talent and the level-headedness of our cricketers in this day and age to go out there and execute We always hear people talking game plan. But when you ask them, we need to ask them, what was the game plan?
Game plan.
Because you'd see one West Indian out in the same way in a series against the same bowler in a series. It's because how much they're well studied, right? And you'd see plans. When Jimmy Anderson will be bowling, you'd see him particular plan against one batsman that is completely different to another. You understand? And it's because now they keep into that plan. We need to ask our West Indians, what is the plan? What is the plan? Or what was the plan?
In terms of consistency.
We're not.
And the plan. Because you see right now you have to have a plan and you have to be consistent. You can't be coming as you all over the place. So that is where the discipline comes in that in the West Indies that we need to look at. But we have a series coming up soon in Bangladesh, and I hope we can. But again, we have T20s, we have ODIs,
well, the first test match begins 2 days from now. I think it's on Thursday. We have the first test match in Antigua. The squad has been announced. For that test match, and I should be able to pull it up. I should be able to pull it up. The squad. I have the Bangladesh squad in front of me. Let me see if I have the West Indies squad. The West Indies squad. Based on nothing I've said yet. Yes, West Indies announced the squad. I'm not sure who are the individuals in that, but I think West Indies announced the squad. I have an article in front of me that is saying the West Indies squad is yet to be announced. But Scotty, it begins on Thursday with two test matches, and then they come to Dominica for the first 2 or 3 ODIs, which is on the 2nd and 3rd of July, which is not so very far from now. So we want to encourage our Dominican public to come out and support our West Indies team when they come to Dominica in the next 2 weeks. In just about the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks, that is very soon.
Yeah, it's pretty soon. We've seen the works going on at the stadium. There's the refurbishing of the stadium that is taking place now, making the thing look really pretty. The grass is starting to look back nice after the 2 weeks of the Dream 11, which had it looking a little bit brown. But I passed there, was it last night? And the place is looking good.
Yeah, because the grounds, our grounds, water that is, because you had some serious rainfall in drought in the last month. But it's now the rain start falling, and winds are packing. Each time we get it water, the spring back rain. And I hope one of the things I hope our scoreboard do not interfere in that ODI, that the scoreboards are working properly.
Which scoreboards are you talking about? The manual ones or the electronic ones?
The electronic scoreboard, duty.
Was there a problem recently when you were having
Dream 11, you had issues with the
in the start of the Dream 11, because the scoreboard, the program was brought in just as the Dream 11 was starting, and I'm sure, as you'd understand, in the life cycle of a project, there will be some teething issues. And
mistakes in those issues there right
well, what I'm saying is they had how many games to play to go through the Dream 11. I will tell you, at one stage, in the initial stages, the print on the screen was not as vivid and as it needed to be, and that was rectified very early. So I'm sure that the technical people at the Windsor Park Stadium will put things in place, because it's not new to us.
There was no replay on the scoreboard. I hope that is the thing that they have rectified.
Well, I will tell you, from what was happening in the T20, in the T10 that just finished taking place, the coverage, the level of coverage, and the level of coverage you get in the international match is chalk and cheese. They are chalk and cheese, to be quite frankly. So once that is connected to the computer system, it will be able to move. You can transfer from the scorecard to the live game, and the live game will give you the replays when they put the replays and so forth. So I'm sure
that is what I'm telling you. I need to see
the other one was a Facebook coverage. The other one was Facebook coverage. Yeah. So it's the levels
on
are
the ground. You need to have, when people appeal, you have to go back to your replays, and I want to see it on the screen.
The levels are chalk and cheese. I'm if you can sit on your television at home, then you'll be able to see. You should be able to sit at the stadium.
Okay.
Yes, Scotty,
So that is some of the cricket that is well as in cricket there you want to go to Dream 11 now, one time or
Well, what I really wanted to take a look at now was the England series. England versus New Zealand, and we'll just zoom in on that last match. On that last match, England versus New Zealand, Scotty, first innings. When last have you heard a team scoring 553 runs in a first innings and lost a test match?
Well, that's a long time.
I'm not sure. As a matter of fact, when last have you heard a team scoring 700 runs in a test match and still lose
the game?
You know, because
the other thing I seen is like the team scored 500 and some 553.
553.
But the other team replied 539.
But
that is over 1,000 runs in the first innings.
In the first innings.
Yeah.
But
and
Scott,
I am saying, but how you see like these teams that they sit on and they score these runs very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You could see the impact of T20 on Test cricket. Long term, we used to struggle to get 200, 300 runs in a day. But 300 runs is a normal thing now in a day.
But Scotty, as you said that, England required 299 runs and not a full final day. And they scored it. Now, I think it was day 3. England scored 383 runs in the first innings. You know, so it's telling. But what I liked about the cricket was the approach. I could have told when Ben Stokes came into bat in the first innings, he scored 45 runs out of 33 balls. And I was looking at it, just had a fall of wicket, and he was accelerating, and they had not reached the total, the opponent's total yet. Yeah. At that stage, Scotty, they had not even reached the follow-on stage, because if the follow-on is 200, they had not reached it out yet. Right? They had not reached that 200 lead yet. They had more than 200 lead. And he was accelerating. And I said to a friend of mine who I was watching the game with, Ben Stokes' approach is to try to win that game. So he doesn't even care if he out. He's just going to accelerate the scoring, give himself as little a lead as possible from to chase from New Zealand and to try to restrict them to a good score. And guess what? In the second innings, Ben Stokes came back and hit 75 out of 70 balls to win that game, right? But and what I liked about it, he reminded me a bit of Ricky Ponting as a captain who is not interested in drawing a match.
Let us see how we can win the game.
Well, let's try to win that match and have that positive approach. And at the same time, what I spoke about that we did not see from the West Indies batsmen, when the batsmen go out there, they are batting responsibly. So regardless of the fact that they're looking to accelerate that score, they are also batting responsibly. You know, and Ben Stokes, Johnny Bairstow, who was one of the centurions, as a matter of fact, we had 4 centurions in that game. Was it 4? 5 centurions rather. Right. We had Darryl Mitchell scoring 190 in the first innings and Tom Blundell scoring 106. And then we had Ollie Pope and Joe Root scoring 145, 176 respectively in the first innings, and in the second innings, Johnny Bairstow, he struck 139 from 92 balls.
So Bairstow inning was a game changer in that he came there and really played a superb knock, continuously attacking the New Zealand fast bowlers.
Yeah, but
Saudi and you remember Saudi and
Blundell
and Henry. These guys they're not easy bowlers.
Blundell is not easy at all. And, I said Bond.
Bolt.
Trent Bolt.
And Team Saudi, these guys are easy bowlers. And I find England was just milking them and getting runs. I say, but you see, that is batsmanship. Because those guys, they came there with a purpose to actually win that game.
The positive approach. They came out there with a positive approach, and that's what
that has put you up as a captain in the if you're in a defensive mood, your plan has to change.
And you know, it reminded me of that test match that Jaden Seals and was it Jaden Seals and Kemar Roach at the end. And I remember the interview with Jaden Seals and Kemar Roach, and he was saying at the end of the innings when they did just a few runs, and I think it was the last wicket stand, and he said, should I take as much strike as possible, or should we try to score as much runs as possible? And he said, let's try to get as much runs as possible because we were close. And if it was not for that positive approach, Pakistan would have drawn the match.
Yeah.
You understand? And so when you look back at that performance between England, or England's performance in that test match, in the second test match, that nice positive approach, I think, is what cost them, what allowed them to win the game. But the series is now 2-love.
2-0.
England winning 2-love, and I mean, England in recent times have been getting the flack, and they're saying that, as a matter of fact, Stuart Broad and Anderson, they were left out of the last tour,
Yeah, the West
and now
Indies.
they were brought back in. And again, we've seen them taking wickets,
Well, you
by the
cannot
way.
think England made a mistake in dropping both of those guys to come into the Caribbean.
Well,
At least one should have thought of the English team.
what I like with
Yeah.
the English team, England is not making no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Yeah.
They're looking for the new generation of England, because Anderson is at 39. I'm not sure of Broad's
Well,
age,
like
but he's also
26
up there in
to
his 30s.
25, 26.
You know, and they're not making no ifs, ands, and buts about it. We need to change those bowlers. You understand? And so they were looking to see where is the chemistry, what is the
Yeah, well, you need to change the bowlers. You also need to have a team that have some seniority in it and some experience.
but England is not lacking that.
So-
England is not lacking by any stretch of the imagination, and I think
So that's what they realized. When they came to the Caribbean, they should actually, one of these fast bowlers should have been on board. You understand? They could have
I'm
really-
not saying no.
Yeah.
But what it proved to me was the England Cricket Board was not about winning at any cost. It was about sustainability, sustaining our strength, as opposed to.
And the other thing, the England underestimated the Caribbean team.
That's what happened.
One of them things they also got, well, West Indies, they can bring
That's what
anything.
happened.
They can,
When they
bring,
play-
they can bring anything and we'll beat them fellas. So,
England had come from a
Yeah.
5-0 series
In,
defeat
Australia.
against Australia.
Yeah.
So it was not just a Caribbean thing; it was a trend. And I think they had played India before they played the Australian. I think I stand corrected, and somebody that's listening probably could give me an idea of the last series of India. But
India, they didn't win that series either. They won a downward trend.
okay, but Scotty,
Yeah,
we
but
have to
good
check.
to see that they have regrouped and they are back in world cricket.
Scotty, we have to change some gears right now. We are joined here by the president of the Dominican Amateur Basketball Association, and but we're going to take some word from our sponsors, and we will be right back as we switch the direction of the conversation when we continue.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
We say thank you for staying tuned for those of us who are listening on 88.7, 93.1, or 107.9. We say it's always a pleasure. And those of us who are following via the Facebook Live, we also say it's a pleasure when you're part of our audience. We have on the Zoom with us the president of the Dominican Amateur Basketball Association, Mr. Peter Ricketts. Peter, good evening.
Good evening, Yudi, and good evening to all your listeners. Good evening, Scotty. Thanks for having me tonight and the rest of the team.
Good evening, Peter. I hope you're having a good day.
Yes, well, it's okay. It could be better, but it's good. I'm happy.
Okay.
All right. Well, Peter, I'm not sure if your day is as good as mine, but my partner here brought me a pineapple. I mean, Scotty is a retired public servant, but he has been making a lot of inroads in farming. And I do not know if Scotty knew that pineapple is my favorite fruit. And then when I saw him walk in the studios this evening, that I was like, oh my gosh, sorry for being greedy on radio, but
That is good, man.
but Peter, Scotty is a man that is working hard, and every time he's in studio with me, I am very, very, very happy because I like the kind of discussions that we bring. But when you are with us, also, it's always some good conversation and some good news. Talk to us about what's happening in basketball, Peter, as it relates to the free X3 competition.
Yes. So, as you know, we have been on the various shows talking about 3x3 from its inception, and we had the national competition on which the champions, both the male and female from that competition, were both promised a trip to compete in one of the regional tournaments, and we are happy today to say that we did send both those teams to compete in the Puerto Rico, the first ever Latin America Cup held in Puerto Rico. Now, unfortunately, not all of the players from those teams were able to attend because of visa issues, visa requirements. So not everybody had their visas, but we were able to send other players in their place to ensure that we had representation. Now, the main reason for this is the way that 3x3 works. You get ranking points for having tournaments locally. You get more ranking points for having tournaments abroad. And through our participation in this tournament, we were actually able to move up 2 positions on the global 3x3 scale rankings. Now, had it not been for COVID-19, we would have qualified for both the Caribbean Games. Matter of fact, we might get a spot for a female team for the upcoming Caribbean Games in Guadeloupe for 3x3 because if St. Lucia is not able to field a team, we are actually the next country in line. So that's how close we were to qualifying for that competition, as well as the 3x3 Commonwealth Games held in Birmingham later this year. We did not qualify, but again, that was because we were unable to have sports because of COVID. But that's okay. That gave us some time to continue planning and continue strategizing. And so now that the country has reopened, we have quite a bit in store, and it has started with this Puerto Rico tournament. I do want to say that I was actually one of the players that had to fill in. And if the president filled in, it was the last option because none of our 3x3 players had their visa. But I think that it worked out how I think to our benefit, because having been there and having experienced it, I already see what changes we need to make for our 3x3 locally, because I know when you read the rules of 3x3, it's officiated more physical. They allow for more physicality, but we were not prepared for the level of physicality. I don't know if you've ever played basketball in Bath Road, but it makes Bath Road look soft. So that is how so we have a much better understanding of where is our level in Dominica and where we need to be to make inroads. But we were able to make strategic partnerships and communicate with some of the other teams that were there. And because of that, now we are working to bring some teams to Dominica so we in Dominica can experience and can witness firsthand what 3x3 at the professional level looks like. And I mean, it was amazing. It was a fantastic experience, and it's one that we wish that we can share with the entire country.
Okay, Peter, we have also with us via the Zoom platform Javid Joseph and your Vice President Donnie Robinson, who would have been members of the male team out there in Puerto Rico, and we also have the Free X3 coordinator, Miss Rema Francis, who surprisingly, or should I say surprisingly, or fortunately, recently conducted a workshop with officials for the Free X3 Games. Gentlemen and ladies, let me say good evening to you and welcome to the Sports Connection.
Good evening, Yuri. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Yuri. Thank you, man.
All right. Now, Javid and Donny, could you just give us some of your experiences, or how did you feel about this the free competition out there in Puerto Rico?
Well, the experience really was it was good. I feel that we going up there, to be honest, as Peter said, it gave us an insight as to exactly what needs to change here. Because one, I believe our basketball level, it's not that bad off. But just two things: our fitness level and the officiating. Because referees need to understand the game has evolved, and trust me, there's a lot more which is being accepted than before, where the old convention style where players could stand up still to dribble and you were allowed the first step and the physicality. It was like wrestling on ground. It was really interesting, I would say, but it was a good experience for me. I learned a lot, and I'm willing to work with my team here to move up one more level.
Mr. Robinson.
Oh yeah. Good night again, Yuri.
Good evening.
According to just to echo the same sentiment, the experience was pretty good. It was, as part of basketball administration, it's even more important to have experienced it, seen it firsthand, and understand what needs to be done more from basketball from a national standpoint, more so than individually. Individually, it was good experience, very good physicality. I mean, that's part of the game I enjoy the most, actually. But we have to be able to take from that the learnings that can actually project where we want to be in 3-on-3 from a regional and international standpoint. So I think overall it was a fantastic opportunity, and I hope we can build from that, which is actually what we want to do.
But Robinson, as a vice president of basketball, and I know you have a passion for the game. I mean, we are personal friends and we talk all the time. How do you see? What is your vision for 3x3 in Dominica?
Well, we have a strategic plan outlined for basketball, and 3x3 is an integral part of that. And what we want to do is use 3x3 really to get basketball up and running again. It's a very high-paced, very attractive brand of basketball. It takes less of a crowd to set up teams. We want to introduce it to the schools, and we want to use it as the way back, getting more people involved, getting the private sector involved. It's a lot more attractive. It's a shorter tournament. These are cheaper tournaments, cheaper teams to sponsor. There are a lot more regional organized tournaments, and the whole point structure helps you navigate your way, and actually you can map out where you want to be. So I think it's exciting times. It's parallel, in my opinion, to T20, the impact T20 had on cricket. It's the shorter version, and a lot more energetic and vibrant brand of basketball. Having said that, there will always be a place for 5-on-5.
always. Just like Test cricket, nothing replaces Test cricket. But the nice thing about it, if I could just compliment your statement, is that it is already an Olympic sport, and so there would be funding that could assist in its development in the local arena through the Olympic solidarity or through the Olympic movement itself. And so it's an opportunity, and I think for older men like you and I, we could still play in.
I'll speak for yourself.
But President Ricketts, last evening I saw the remarking and the resurfacing of the basketball hard court at the Windsor Park Stadium. Any plans for a 3x3 tournament soon, or some basketball activity of the sort?
Absolutely. Actually, we have quite a bit of basketball activities planned for the four courts. First of all, we have a team that's currently training to participate in the Battle of the Fittest competition in St. Martin. But right now, the practices are being done at the Bath Road hard court. And as you know, that's a much smaller court. And that's another one of the issues that I picked up by participating in the 3x3 tournament is playing on these smaller or non-standard courts with rims that are not standard height does take away from your game. You have to adjust now going to play on a proper wider court with the distance of the 3-point line and so on. So it's something that I want to, we're going to be a lot more cognizant about, and try not to have teams train on the Bath Road court. But now we can only train on the Bath Road court because it's the only court in the Roseau area with lights that we can access at night. So once the stadium is completed, the painting, I know they started, they have not completed because of the rain. I know once they have completed and we get the go-ahead from the stadium manager, we will definitely be having activities there.
Okay, Miss.
Yeah, before you go, Ricky, so I basically am not a great fan of 3x basketball, but I like my 5-on-5 basketball. I see in terms of bringing 3x and in terms of our prioritization, because we now have people have been asking for the basketball itself in Dominica, and I think the last time you were there, you were talking about that everything has been shelved till next year. Yep. So I hope your plans are well on the way to have a proper league in 2023. Because
absolutely,
I think a lot of the teams around Dominica, they're playing basketball. They still play in the what do you call it, the Merchants League, the league that you have in the
Business League.
Business League. It's the same guys that play basketball. So I hope that the arena will be set for proper basketball coming up in the next year.
Yeah, so that is our plan, as I mentioned the last time I was on the show. Absolutely, and thank you for reminding me of that. Yes, that is what we're planning right now. So our focus right now is to strengthen the basketball at the community level. So if you've noticed, we have offered support we supported basketball activities in Peebush, in Portsmouth, and I know we're in communication with some of the other sports committees from the various communities across the country.
Yeah,
who are ready.
Yes, there was some games in Granby sometime recently.
Yes, there was in Granby and so on. So what we are using this time to do is to work with the communities to strengthen the basketball at that level. Because again, if you look at the pathway the athletes will take, the younger players at the grassroots level will develop their skills from the community level. Then they must have a pathway to compete in within their community or the various districts that they fall within. And then from there now, the cream of the crop or the top athletes would then be able to participate in a national league. So what we're changing now is the level and the prestige of the national league. The national league will no longer be a 10-man come together and decide that we have a team we want to play in the national league. No, you have to work your way up through the community competitions, and the top teams from the various communities would then be invited to compete at the national levels where we can display the best basketball for the patrons.
Okay, Miss, Peter, we want to talk to you in a while about some plans that we're seeing, some for international coaching, and also we want to talk to you about the watch party that we have for the NBA Finals as an initiative of the DABA. But before we do that, we want to touch base with Miss Rayma Francis, who has been the 3x3 coordinator in Dominica for the past few years now, and find out from her what is her take on the growth of 3x3 in Dominica, and if there's anything else that you want to share with us about the game.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
3x3, I can say, well, with myself, Peter, even when Mr. Martin Dyer was around, it has grown tremendously. 3x3 started with us, with this gentleman from St. Vincent, Sanjay, who got us all in training. After training, we had a session on the court in Goodwill, and it took off from there. One of our first major activities was on the Bayfront with Olympic Day Run. And we showcased what 3x3 was about. We had teams who were excited about it. We had our first official event. And I mean, it felt good to actually be a part of something, not realizing how big it would have grown. And a few years later, right now, we can see ourselves participating in regional tournaments like Puerto Rico. And it's a huge jump, it's a huge leap, and we're even ready to take it much further. I mean, from inception, if we look at from 2016, 2017, when we just had like 50 players registered for 3x3, right now we're up to 181 players. And the interest from players themselves is there. It's a lot more. Right now we're getting ready for tournaments for this year, and we have persons contacting us. They want the dates, they want to know when, they want to gather their teams. So it's much more than before, and that's what we were looking at from inception to get to that point and even to move further. So in terms of our ranking, in the past years, we were actually ranked between 160, 161, now we're up to 120. So it's not just with players' participation only. On the world board, we've actually shown that we're having 3x3 basketball, and Dominica is moving to places. It's so much to say that FIBA themselves realized the effort that we're putting in, that we were awarded a 3x3 mobile court. I think we were one of the first Caribbean countries to receive one. So it shows the effort that we're putting in, the players themselves, everyone who helped us to actually get this far. We always thank them, and we want to show them more what Dominica does have in store.
Well, as a basketball administrator, former basketball administrator, and sports administrator, I am sure that you probably would have received some negative vibes about 3x3 and probably its possible replacement of the 5v5 version of the game. But I for one is one who believe that anything new that we have and new opportunities that we have in sport, if we have the opportunities to exploit, we should explore it. And we're seeing the growth of the sport locally, and we could now boast of having participated in a regional tournament. I'm not sure when was the last time Dominica, as a senior national men's team, participated in a basketball tournament that is 5v5. And what are you going to continue to do to provide opportunities for us to be able to represent Dominica on the world basketball stage, seeing that there's a new pathway through the sport of 3x3?
Well, for one, as you heard from the team that traveled to Puerto Rico, they've experienced what 3x3, the reality, I should say, of 3x3. So coming back home, now we need to find ways to tailor our basketball to suit this type of events, that when we go out there, we will be more prepared. So also having tournaments here, we can ensure players that, hey, you participate, you perform, you excel, we will have rewards. We will have rewards such as these tournaments, because that's what we promised the previous team. You won the tournament, you put your all out. We put ourselves out there. We try to network with different countries and so on to get opportunities for players to go out there to play, not just locally, but regionally. And when we do get to the point internationally, but we will find ways and opportunities, but also trying to prepare them as well, knowing the sport, learning the rules, getting trained properly before we can actually send them out.
Okay, one last question in that vein. While I continue to wish us well to be able to put teams to represent Dominica on the international scene, like the Commonwealth Games and so forth, like those persons who are being curious, I want to express my curiosity. When should I expect the next 3x3 tournament in Dominica?
Our local tournament?
Local tournament.
We're looking at July to begin. It's a tentative date, as there are a few other activities going on during this time. But we're looking at, hopefully, sometime in July, we can begin with our qualifiers. So we would start off like we did in 2020. We have our qualifiers, 3 zones, North, Central, South, and the women as well. So we're including the women. We're never leaving out our women. The women are included as well. So we're going to start off with these first And hopefully early September, we can try to have the 3x3 grand finals. But we will put out more information with the solid dates. But at least the players can get ready because we're going to have some basketball action soon.
All right, thank you, Rima. But before we take a break, for word from our sponsors, we have with us Miss Shimana McLawrence, who I think is one of the players, who was one of the players out there in Puerto Rico. Miss McLawrence, how do you see yourself as an ambassador for the game of 3x3?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I see myself as an ambassador because the experience that I had in Puerto Rico playing with my team on the 3x3, it was very interesting, very exciting. It was on a whole other level that I didn't even know basketball could be on. So that is something that I wish to see in my country, Dominica. And hopefully we are on the route of getting there.
All right, thank you, Miss McLawrence. Mr. Ricketts, before we bring on in, I remember when I spoke to you this evening, earlier on today, for asking you to be on the show. I told you maybe you do a 10 to 15 minutes. We are now about half an hour into that. But before we move on to the next segment, we have some initiatives. I have been seeing the call for persons to register for a coaching course that is internationally acclaimed. Could you give us an idea of that, following which you could maybe just mention about the DABA initiative of the watch party for Thursday night?
Sure thing. So again, you know that the sport can only elevate if the persons who shape the sport in Dominica have elevated themselves. So of course you have the coaches, you have the referees, you have the table officials. And so we've, as you mentioned earlier, we have had some trainings for our table officials and referees for the 3x3. We will be doing the same again for the 5v5 to expand that resource pool and make sure that everybody is up to date on the current rules and so on. But now, in terms of the development of the sport at the community level, we have partnered with FIBA to bring down a coach to deliver the WABC Level 1 coaching course. Now, this is an international certification. It means that you could go to any country in the world and it will be recognized. So the goal is to start training up more coaches that can be deployed in the various sports districts across the country to work with the teams. Because in the future, as you know, we are going to work towards this club structure. And one of the mandates for a club is to have a certified coach on that club. So the goal is to start getting persons certified now, so they can in turn go and start working with their grassroots players. Yes, it's a level 1 certification, and you can go up the other levels as you yourself develop as a coach. So this coach will be arriving in Dominica this Friday, and we will have 2 days on Saturday and Sunday where the content will be delivered. There's going to be an in-class session and as well as an on-court session. But I have something more to surprise you with that you do not know of yet, and I will break that news on the air tonight. We also have a recruiter who will be coming to Dominica on Friday. His ticket is booked, and that's why we were waiting today. I got confirmation that his ticket is booked, and he's going to come to scout some of our local players. And if they do meet the criteria, will be eligible for not a partial, but a full scholarship to a U.S. university. This guy has been doing this in St. Lucia for some time. He has sent up numerous athletes from St. Lucia to the U.S., and he will be in turn looking to do the same here in Dominica. So we have been in contact with some of those athletes, and they too will be invited. So we'll be merging those two activities this weekend, both the coaches training, as well as showcasing our young athletes to see if we can get them full scholarships to go up to the U.S. And then we also finally, as you mentioned, we all know that fundraising is an ongoing activity for any sporting organization or any organization that is, because that's how we get some of our funds. And one of the initiatives that we came up with is we have partnered with Katai for hosting NBA Finals watch parties. Now, at these parties, we ask patrons to come out in large numbers. We do accept donations. We do raffles as well. So we've raffled cakes. We have other raffles installed. So the next game, I believe, is, if I'm not mistaken,
it's on Thursday at 9.
Thursday
at 9.
9 o'clock. So we are asking all patrons, all supporters of basketball, how best support your basketball by watching the NBA Finals around your peers, persons cheering for their team. It's an amazing atmosphere, but you can also come out and support basketball, because every dollar counts and it goes towards the development of the sport in Dominica.
But I want to encourage Donnie Robinson to come out to watch you cry, because I know your team lost the series in game 4. They got a perfect opportunity to go up 3-1, and then they lost the game. And your Boston Celtics are going to go down tomorrow on Thursday night. For my only reason I wanted to go to a game 7 is for DAB to be able to get another dollar on the final at game 7, because the watch party continued, or it started from game 1 and it will continue throughout the NBA Finals. But Donnie, are you going to come to see Peter cry?
Oh yeah, I would definitely. I wouldn't miss that. I've been at him for the entire series, letting him know that he had better things to do than watching Boston Celtics lose. But it's okay. I will cheer him on and wipe his tears.
So you're gonna be there. You're gonna be there as well on Thursday night.
I will be.
What about Javid and Rima? Are you guys gonna be there?
I will be there.
All right, guys. Well,
I'm happy that we have this recorded on air, by the way.
You're gonna remember that? Yes, it was said that you were gonna cry, and then Boston Celtics are going to lose on Thursday night, and then Golden State Warriors is going to lift their 4th championship. Well, I'm Steph Curry and Draymond Green and the other Splash Brother are going to lift their 4th championship.
I believe the game gonna go to game 7. I give in Golden State the edge, but Tatum gonna have a real game. Game 6 will be his game. It's like how Steph Curry had game 5. Drew on Tatum for that game 6.
Well, Scotty, to be frank, if it goes to a game 7 for the purpose of DAB, I'd be happy, because you got another day for us to watch some great basketball together. And as we discuss, sometimes you're gonna get ideas there, and not just the money, but those of us who come for ideas, come for your ideas, come and support the DAB. But guys, gentlemen and ladies, it was a pleasure having you with us in the studios of Kyrie FM. There was so much to have been said, and much have been said. We just want to continue to wish you well as you go in your endeavors towards the development of the sport of basketball, both in the 5v5 and the 3x3 version. So it was a pleasure having you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right.
Coffee. Have a good evening. Take care, guys.
All right, and thank you very much, and God bless you guys. On this note, we're going to take some word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Okay, we want to say for those of us who are still tuning in first, we say it's a pleasure to have you. Those of us on 88.7, 93.1 or 107.9, we want to say it's a pleasure to have you as part of our audience, and thank you for tuning in first. And those of us who are following on the Facebook Live, we say it's a pleasure, always a pleasure when you're part of our audience. Scotty, we were just recently discussing the NBA Finals, and I'm sure that there's much more to be said about the NBA Finals. I want to tell our listeners that if you want to connect with us, you could always reach us on 4487-334 or 305-906-6186 on the overseas line. That is the numbers to call are 4487-334 or 305-906-6186. Yes, Scotty, tell us more about that NBA Finals that is going to be. Because I know that is your kettle of fish.
That's a kettle of
That's your kettle of fish.
That's what I love in basketball. NBA Finals. That's the 75th NBA Finals actually, Rudy. And it would be nice to see, because Boston heading for the 18th championship,
Yeah.
as a club. But Golden State have won four titles in the last 8 years. So Golden State really is the more modern team.
They've won 4 titles in the last, or 3 titles in the last 8 years.
It's 4, not 4. I think it's 4,
I think they would have won 2 before the inclusion of possibly 4. Yeah, possibly 4.
No, yeah, it's 3.
3.
So they can't win 4 in 8 years.
Yes, right.
So the Golden State is like a contemporary kind of side where they are modern. That's that. Boston Celtics, is a team of legendary status as we go back to those guys in the 70s and the 80s
and 90s. Yeah.
Well,
that is the 90s would have been, by 1990, Celtics would have stopped winning because I think 90 and 91, I think 1990 would have been 89 and 90 would have been the Dennis Rodman team, Isaiah Thomas, Detroit Pistons winning those days. And 91, 92, 93 would have been the Chicago Bulls. 94, 95 would have been the Houston Rockets, and then 96, 97, 98 back to Bulls. So in the 90s, Boston would have not won. They would have won in the 80s and the 70s.
70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Because they had some great guys like Bird and Lambier. I don't know them fellas there.
Sure. I have gray beard for a reason, Scotty.
So that was some. But I watching this series so far, and I looking at game 1, Celtics 120, Warriors 108. Game 2, Celtics 89, Warriors 107. Game 3, 116 for Celtics and 100 for Golden State. Game 4, 97 for the Celtics, 107 for Golden State, and again in Game 5, you had 94 for the Celtics, the 104 for Golden State. It looked like Golden State is scoring a steady over 100 games, and they're beating Boston by 10 points in those matches. So it's very interesting to see the trend, because they're going up. That's why I tell you, Game 6, I expect Tatum to put his best show in that
Game 6.
Game 6.
But Scotty, if we look at the NBA Finals, in all honesty, I think the first match you had the Celtics winning on the road.
Yeah.
And the first 4 matches were alternated in terms of the wins.
Yeah,
so we had Celtics Warriors for the first 4.
Yeah.
I think Celtics in Game 4 lost their grip on the championship. Had they won Game 4, my whole heart, because neither of these teams are my team. Yeah, I'm a Kobe fan, and I will still be a Kobe fan even if he dies, even if he has died. But I like Tatum, because when I look at him play, it's like Kobe living on in him.
Yeah.
And so I would be happy if he could win a championship. But I have an affinity to the adaptability of Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr would come out of a first half down and shorten over, and you'd resurface and resurrect and win a game for you. And that is how quick he can adapt to situations. And when we look at Boston's strategy in game 5 was to deny Steph Curry the ball, no matter what.
Yeah.
And there was always an in-face defender on Steph Curry throughout. And as a result, Steph Curry was only able to score 7 out of, I think, was it? His stats was 7 out of 22.
Yeah, but
that is a very low percentage.
Keep him low, but the Andrew Wiggins step up to the game.
And that is the adaptability I was talking about.
Klay Thompson step up, and the way Wiggins scored 26 points, he had 20 rebounds. He had Klay Thompson with 21 points. Curry only scored 16 points in that game.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he had 7 out of 22
Yeah.
field goals and 0 out of 9. And Steph Curry will be remembered as the 3-point shooter of the NBA.
Yeah.
All right. Historically, he will always be in the annals of history for that purpose. And he was 0 out of 9. 0 out of 9. Yeah. But because of the approach, the defensive approach, I mean, Boston Celtics is probably one of the most defensive teams in the NBA. And they were able to deny Steph Curry and to restrict him to 7 out of 22. But guess what? Andrew Wiggins was able to step up.
Yeah.
In game 4, he had 16 points he had 16 rebounds and 17 points. And in this game, because of the defensive strategy that was being employed, because Steph Curry in game 4 had 43 points.
Yeah.
And the Boston strategy was let somebody else beat us, not Steph Curry. And then Andrew Wiggins, he surfaced. He came to the fore, and out of the 48 minutes, he played 43 minutes. 43 minutes, and stepped up with 26 points and 13 rebounds.
That I'm saying, if you have a very good player, that an outside shooting player like Steph Curry, you know, you're trying to deny him the ball and trying to prevent him from scoring from the 3-point land. But if Steph Curry uses his head now, he can now become what they call the pivotal player. Assist now. Pass the ball around and find guys in position that can score basketball.
Well, the thing is, Boston Celtics, because of his tremendous dribbling ability, Boston Celtics is denying him the ball. So for him to get the ball, he had to go outside and pass it.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
Go outside and pass it because he's not gonna get a chance to get that ball. You have to struggle a lot, work a lot.
Double teaming him, so he also exposing your other flank and your other players and giving players an opportunity so you can pass the ball. And I say that is sometimes I could try to put so much emphasis on one player, but remember it's you have 4 other players on the court, and you know if you use a good strategy, you draw them out, then you can pass your ball around. Then your guys getting free look at the basket, and that is what happening to Boston. So Boston have to come with a better game. Smart have to come step up his game. Smart is a player. I
think he's very impactful. I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, this free that free. But this, I think, what was being done in the games that they won, the early games that they won. You had this Williams guy, the tall, dark center, playing Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Both he and Al Horford. They were playing Steph Curry all the way up on the perimeter, and it became difficult for Steph Curry to shoot efficiently. All right, while the Marcus Smarts, the Jason Tatum and the Jaylen Brown was able to play their kind of game. But in last night's game, in game 5, what was done? Marcus Smart was playing him up front, and so what they did, they took off one of the offensive pieces. They took him out of the game because he was so dedicated to Steph Curry. And I think maybe what should have been done is continue to play the Al Horford and the Williams guys, playing him out and then getting weak side defense when he would have blown past the Williams guy, because this guy, although he's tall 7+, he can also move his feet on defense. And then because of their heights, these two individuals is making the shooting of Steph Curry a little bit difficult. And so I would have kept that plan instead, as opposed to dedicating Marcus Smart to Steph Curry throughout the game. And that was very challenging, and so he was not being able to make that impact offensively as you would have made like in games 1 and 3.
Okay, so we have I start on Steph Curry, 3-point guard to record. He recorded 40 points and 10 rebounds in NBA Finals, and I think this was Magic Johnson, another player, alone have that sort of record. Where they score over 40 points and 10 rebounds in one game. 3 games straight now.
Steph Curry has been doing that.
Yeah, so he have been able to work his way, and it's good to see that the guy continued to work his way. Even that game there, I think the game 5, you know, his parents had some problem. They actually got divorced.
Oh.
Yeah, Steph Curry.
His parents?
Yeah, and he was going through that struggle, and he was able to wither it out on that game. During that game there. Actually, they showed the parents came in there with the other partners.
With the other partners.
To witness the game. So sometimes that's when I was going through different stress, but he's able to rise up over in the occasion.
Well, Steph Curry is no teenager. Steph Curry, I think, is about 33 years.
Yeah.
So he should be able to handle that. I mean, he have a family of his own. He's going to have to plan for those kind of situations in the life when we have challenging situations. But Scotty, I think we probably would have exhausted the basketball conversation.
Yeah.
And Dominica recently participated in the CONCACAF Nations League.
Yeah,
and playing in Group C of Tier 3 of that competition. And Scotty, Dominica is in second place out of a group of 3.
Dominica won. We haven't won a match.
No, the only team which has won a match in Group C in Dominica's group is Saint Lucia. Saint Lucia have played 2 games, one against Dominica and one against Anguilla, and they would have won both of these matches. And they'd have won both of these matches. I think they beat Anguilla 2-0. And they beat Dominica 1-0. So
Anguilla drew, it was 1-1 and 0-0. So what I'm saying, what happened to our football that we get so? I mean, we had a warm up against St. Vincent earlier in May, and I don't know the Vinces I see them playing football at a much higher level in that present league going on right now. I don't even pull up their stats.
I can always check and see at what level is St. Vincent playing.
Because when I was watching the team, the Vincent side, I said that side looking like a youth side to me. In the Dominica situation, they brought in some.
I would have dialogue with some of the coaches with St. Vincent, and I would have dialogue with some of the coaches in St. Vincent. And they had a lot of young players. Matter of fact, when I asked the question, most of these players would have gone through the Winnow Island school games. They were not all at that young age. That's what I'm saying.
A pretty young team.
But St. Vincent is playing in League B. Dominica is playing in League C.
Yeah.
And they would have been able to beat St. Vincent successfully, impressively so, defeating St. Vincent. St. Vincent is at the bottom of the table in Group C of League B.
What are the teams that are there?
And the teams that are in St. Vincent's group is Nicaragua, who have played 4 and in first place, having won 3 and draw 1. We have Trinidad as well, having won 3 and lost 1. And then we have Bahamas in third place, having lost 3 and won 1. And St. Vincent losing 3 and drawing 1.
The group they are in is a much stronger group than what Dominica is.
Well, certainly. I mean, when you look at it, and we were able to beat St. Vincent. And when you look at the scores in those matches, St. Vincent has played 4 matches, and their goal difference is -6, having scored 3 goals, and out of the 4 matches, 9 goals were scored against them. And so St. Vincent is looking, quote unquote, good enough against Nicaragua. It's Costa Rica. Was it Costa Rica that qualified for the World Cup against New Zealand today? Or Panama, one of these two. You know, but Nicaragua is a good team. Trinidad is a very good team.
Although I find Trinidad football cannot drop in the last year or 2.
Well, it has dropped because when we look at League A, we're seeing Jamaica on top of Mexico, and Mexico has only played 1 game, and Suriname. But the teams that are in Group A are Jamaica, Mexico, Suriname, Panama, Costa Rica, Martinique, Honduras, Canada, and Curacao. We have El Salvador, USA, and Grenada, who is our sister Windward Islands, playing in League A of CONCACAF. And so I think Dominica all the way in League C and not performing at a level that we expect them. I think we have reasons to be disappointed. And Scotty.
Well, I watched the game at Windsor Park and I was not impressed with Dominica attack and the whole strategy to get to goal. Because I think the coach was saying that he did a possession type of game where they would possess the ball more and distribute the ball and pass and move and exchange and go into position. But that was not happening. And I don't know what happened to the striker Odell Laville. But to me, he was just not in that game. They actually had to sub him in somewhere in the 60-something minutes.
But we should not be defending or depending on one person.
No.
I mean, we have the likes of Longdon. We have the likes of Julian Wade.
Julian Wade didn't perform at all. Julian Wade got some opportunities and he squandered it. So as a leading player in the attack, he was not able to finish there's a pretty clear chance that he kicked over a ball right in the 6-yard area. And that was it for Dominica.
We have a caller on the line. Let's take this caller.
Yeah.
Caller, welcome to the Sports Connection. Good evening. Caller, welcome to the Sports Connection. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Sports Collection. Fireman collecting one shot because well and truly now talking about the football, well and truly something, my lord, I find that before you play 45 minutes, you have no rest. Right now, I realize fellas even getting rest in the football. You know what I'm saying? The soccer is the American. But well and truly, I used to play sports, and football is my sport. I love it, plenty love the same way. But what I find about the football itself now, when you see one playing football, you don't want to score, you can never win no match. Tell you what like that. Anytime you want to play a game, football, you have to, no matter what strategy you have, no matter what plan you have, the only plan you have to have, them man have to make sure you have to put the ball behind the goal, inside of the goal line. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way we can win football. Every day we have to have all kind of strategy and whatsoever coaches we have, and they can't get fellas. I mean, right now, they're a little more lazy right now. We have to get it, right now, they're supposed to not a game and a style now. They don't think that rich enough a lot of money. We have to get it serious. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if I roll out too. And to say one thing about the cricket there a little bit there. Don't give me 1 minute there a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
It have a brother in the River Nika, we take him, Locke Sebastian, he's a great cricketer. I heard the brother was talking in a program about the T10. And I find even what he test today. If it wasn't for T20, England would never, ever win that game today. You hear me, my lord?
Well, yeah, because I mean, over 1,400 runs had to be scored for England to win that game today, and to score at the rate they were scoring, it would have to be. We can say we're gonna credit it to the 2020.
Of course, I mean, let's get it real. You know what I mean? Let's get it 80-10 come. Oh, I hear man talk about a big tired man and talking. Mr. Locke Sebastian, I respect and I tell you personally, I don't say what I'm saying in the radio, but when I meet him personally about it. But anyhow, we have to love what we're doing and take our life seriously. And the son, continue what you're doing, my lord. I love and I respect you. No one will contribute in some way. But take all those sports serious.
Yeah, thank you, caller.
I have so much to say about fireman running. Bless up.
Hey, bless up. All right, thank you very much. But Scotty, the caller made a very good point, and in terms of if you cannot score, you will not score in football. And Dominica's challenge at almost every level we would have seen was our scoring ways was not. And I think Coach Lachu would have recognized that, and he would have tried to see a new trajectory in Dominica's football. And I think the last two games, the last three games have not it did not augur well for us. We went back to those days when Dominica was not scoring football, and I think unfortunate it is, because I would have loved to see Dominica go for the CONCACAF Nations League, go into at least League B, go into the second tier, and even if we were to win St. Lucia in the next match, which I am confident will happen, because Dominica had so many chances to score and we did not. I'm sure we will find our scoring ways in the next game next year. I think that match, I don't know, the one other match we win is next year.
In terms of Dominica's ability to score goals, because I don't know. In terms of our strikers, that's a problem we're having for years now.
Yeah, but I think Coach Lachu has been working on it.
In the 18-yard box on ability to our set pieces too.
To be fair to the coach, I think he has been working on it, and you would have seen that redirection when Dominica would have played. Was it Panama? In the World Cup qualifiers, when we were out in the World Cup qualifiers, we saw Dominica looking like a team in a new direction with Coach Lachu. And when we came off the World Cup qualifiers and we went into those friendly matches, we were seeing the Dominican team scoring. So it's unfortunate we did not score in this competition, but I'm hoping that it does not.
In terms of Coach Lachu, because he have what 6 years now.
I'm not sure.
2016 or 2017.
I'm not sure exactly. Yeah.
Because I am beginning to think that right now Dominica need to start looking for their own national coach. I think he has given us a window to prepare some coaches.
Well, I'm hoping that coaches...
And I hope that a Dominican can step up into that position.
Well, I'm hoping that the coaches who have been exposed to him at the club level and at those who were working with him on the national team would have learned from hhim. But in the context of CARICOM and Caribbean integration, I see Coach Lachu as a Dominican, and I'm hoping that maybe some Dominican can get an opportunity to do a stint with some regional team.
I'm saying that it's like a development process was 5-6 years you can't get guys to score something.
Well, what I know is in the 5-6 years, Dominica's football has moved forward with Coach Lachu, I'm willing to stand on my legs with that.
We did look at evidence.
I'm willing to stand on my legs. When you look at the recent results in the World Cup qualifiers, it was testament. But Scott, it's almost 8 o'clock, and I'm happy to have. I wish we could have continued the discussion on football. But Denick Luke, I want this to be, they say save the best for last. Denick Luke is a young Dominican who come from a very, very humble beginning. Yeah. And those of us who know Denick's story would attest to that. And he is a hard worker. Yeah, very, very hard worker. He was unfortunate at the recently held last year Olympics that he fell, and he was tripped and fell in his 800 meters campaign. But he continues. He continued. Yeah. He continues to do well. Yeah. And he will always be running in Jamaica among the top 3 in Jamaica. But guess what? At the Jamaica National Championship, this weekend, Denick Luke, he won the 800 meters in the men 20 plus. So that is men's competition. Denick Luke, at the age of 21, he was running for the GC Foster College in Jamaica. He won the gold medal at the Jamaica National Championship with a time of 1:48.22, and edging off his second place, Robin Handel, who runs for the Jamaican College, who ran 1:48.31, and these individuals were like 4 seconds ahead of the third place finisher, who is Akani Slater, sorry, and we want to congratulate Denick Luke. We want to ask him to continue to work well. I know it's an investment that is being put in him, and as he continues to prepare for the Commonwealth Games, we want to wish him well, and we're hoping that he can make it to the finals of the Commonwealth Games, and not just make it to the finals, but give Dominica another Commonwealth medal. So we want to continue to pray for Denick Luke, and as we end the show on the note of prayers, I just want to give a short word of prayer for this young lady, Kenita, who was abducted at her home last week, Thursday, I think that was. So we want to say, Father in heaven, we just want to thank you for this opportunity, whereby as we still this opportunity in prayer, wherever you are welcome, and wherever we are, you are welcome. And at this time, as we bow before you and pray, Father, we want to just pray for the safe return of this young lady, and we could be successful in our search and rescue mission. We want to ask for continued strength for the police officers and the military men who are out there assisting with the search. As we end the show, we want to just pour out your blessings or pray for your blessings upon our listeners from both far and wide as we come to this end of the show. So bless us once more. Once more we pray in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Did you love this show? Then call us at 614-3385 to find out ways that you can support this program. Thank you for tuning in and keep it locked to your genuine sound, Kyrie.